Morning. I was in this Pembury Baptist Church front garden one Sunday in November looking at the tombstones when I noticed an older couple were looking over the fence and discussing something between them. So I went over to ask if I could help, and they said to me, "We've just seen that new blue building and we assume that it's for the Sunday school." So I said to them, "Well, no, actually it's our youth building, and the youth meet there every Sunday morning, and it's been there since 1995." And their eyes and mouths dropped open, and they said, "We've never ever seen that before." And I said, "Well, to be fair, you might not have done. It was brown up until the summer when it was given a facelift." And they said, "But obviously they walked by here lots of times and never had seen it." And I said, "Well, to be fair, there were a lot of trees around here and foliage and overgrown, and we'd recently had the surgeons in chopping the trees, giving them a severe haircut, if you can see, and where I'm actually standing, the rhododendron had come right up over to here, and they were just amazed. So they went on their way, still discussing it, muttering between themselves, how could it have been there 25 years and we've never seen it? And that got me thinking, just because you can't see something doesn't mean that it isn't there. Now, in the natural world, the science would say, seeing is believing. But is that so? In the spiritual world, I'd say the exact opposite. Believing is seeing. And then I began to think that, okay, the natural world that we live in, things don't always seem what they are. But this building that you can see behind me has been there 25 years. And it wasn't seen because of all these tall trees. We had one tree actually removed to the ground. This rhododendron that was beautiful when it was in flower, but it obscured the sun, and where I'm actually standing used to be lawn. Well, we need the sun to turn it green, as you know. And I began to think, okay, well, in the spiritual world there might be a parallel. You might not be able to see, as that couple couldn't, the wood and hut for the trees. And maybe there are things in our lives that are trees that we can't see God. We might not think that He's around. We might be struggling right now to believe that He actually exists. We might be feeling like He doesn't love us because He hasn't answered our prayers. But He does love us. You might be hurting so much because you believe that the God of love has either taken something or someone away from you. You might be struggling as to why hasn't He answered my prayer for healing. It might be that you're struggling because He hasn't given you the desires of your heart yet, and that's what He promises us. You might be struggling to believe that He actually exists right now. And Hebrews 11:6 says we first must believe that He exists before we can come to Him. So if you're struggling, maybe it's time to go to John 15 that says, my Father is the gardener. Maybe He needs to do some trimming. Maybe you have very tall trees that you can't see round or through and can't see God at work in your life. Maybe you have things that flower now and again and look beautiful, but they're obscuring the Son of God, from making your grass greener. whatever you're facing right now, remember that God is love and He cares for you and He loves you no matter what. Maybe you feel like He's punishing you for something because your dreams aren't coming to pass. In the spiritual world, there are things that are unseen, but that doesn't mean they're not there. You might not see God right now, you might not see angels, but they do exist. And God never stops working on our behalf. Maybe your trees need a severe haircut. Maybe your bushes need trimming back. Whatever it is, turn to God and He will do it. Maybe it started with just a small whinge to God. Maybe that turned into resentment. Maybe trees that are very, very tall have very deep roots. And maybe there's roots of bitterness that are born out of a little whinge. Maybe. But remember, there's a verse in the song called Waymaker that says, even if I can't see it, you're working. Even if I can't feel it, you're working. Because God is always working. He never stops working. So maybe for you today, it isn't seeing is believing, but more like believing is seeing.